Hi guys, it's time for another simple cooking series, and this one comes right out of the Camp Cookery for Small Groups. It's a book that I've talked about before, and this is number 36, and it's called Maynard's Goulash. Okay, and it's going to consist of a can of baked beans, a can of baked beans, some onion, some Vienna sausages fried, and some pineapple fruit put in and some other spices. I'm not going to be using the pineapple, I'm going to be using peaches. But it's just a way to fluffen up beans to make it more interesting. So, let's get started. Okay, into the pan I'm going to throw a little bit of butter. Then I'm going to throw in my onions. Now I've already cooked onions in a previous video you saw me making the gravy recipe. I cooked additional onions, so I've already got my onions ready. I'm just going to throw them back in the heat. And I'm also going to cut a slab onion to go with this for the meal, so I'll just have raw onion and cooked onion with the meal. So what we're going to start with is I'm going to be using smoked Vienna sausage. And I'm simply going to dice them up into more bite-sized pieces into the pan. Now, I'm not a big fan of Vienna sausage, to be honest with you. I ate it so much when I was a boy. But this is a good, especially on a trail, way to throw a meat of some kind into an otherwise nothing but veggie dish. And what it is, we're just doctoring up a can of baked beans. You know, adding some onion, adding some flavor. And that's the whole thing about camp cooking, is taking and cutting it up and adding something to it to make it more flavorful. So we're going to fry, that should be enough. We're going to add a little flavor to that. And then we're going to dump back in them onions that I had earlier. If I was going from scratch, I would simply cut the onion up, throw it in there, and it's going to cook the longest. And cook it till the onion gets soft. Okay? This is a very fast dish and something you can make quick with the kids. Okay? Turn my heat back up. I want that to fry. I was simmering earlier. So as soon as that goes to frying, then I'm going to add the peaches. And I'm just going to take a cup of peaches. I'm not going to put the juice in. I'm going to drink the juice. I'm going to pour the hunk of peaches. It called for pineapple, originally. And it would work with that. I'm just going to substitute this. It's something sweet and tangy to add to it. You could add pears, you could add apple, you could omit it. It's whatever. But it's basically, we're going to take a can of baked beans and we're going to add onion, we're going to add more meat to it, we're going to add a sweet to it, and we're going to add some spices to it and perk it up a little bit. Now these are smoked Vienna sausage, by the way. You could use any flavor. If you want to spice it up, put the hot ones in there. You can add hot peppers or whatever. But this is stuff you can really pick up dirt cheap. I mean, a can of baked beans, $1 or so. Can of Vienna sausage, 50 cents, 75 cents a buck, depending on where you get them. A hunk of onion, super cheap. You get a pack of several sets of these, like 6 of these to use for lunch boxes and stuff. So these are great ways to carry as a dessert or an additive or whatever. I've carried these little peach things and use biscuit dough. Drain them off out of here, add sugar to it, brown sugar, put it in the biscuit dough, fold it over, and fry it as a fry pie and make a little pie out of that. Just a simple, easy serving to carry along. Oh yeah, now we're getting there. I want to give them Viennas a second to get good and hot, get a little flavor of that onion in with them. So now we're about ready to throw in the peaches. I know. It doesn't look that appetizing, Blackie. I know. But believe it or not, it smells really good. The onion and that, to this point, it actually smells pretty good. That's only going to take just a moment to heat them. Then we're going to add in the can of the beans. So I'll go ahead and open that up now. And we're going to be using brown sugar Bush's baked beans. Now I'm going to drain off some of the juice. I don't want all the liquid in the beans. First time I ever had this was at a Boy Scout camp back in the 90s when I was working as a shooting sports director for Boy Scouts of America at Camp Alaflo, and got invited one night to go to eat with one of the troops. And there was this young man that had not had an opportunity to get his cooking whatever merit badge, and he was a little crestfallen about it. And I asked the scoutmaster what the deal was, and he said that the young man had just some bad luck. The fire didn't want to work with him or whatever, and they weren't going to have time for him to get that merit badge before, you know, the camp was over, because everything was so busy. And I said, what all does it entail? And he told me. And so all you got to do is prepare a meal and da-da-da-da, etc. And I said, he can cook for me tomorrow at lunch. And so, because the scoutmaster didn't have time, he was so busy with other things. And so the young man came down to the shooting range, and as soon as I was done with my shotgun class, he had made this for me right out of the book, and that was the first time I ever ate it. And I'll be honest with you, whenever he had pineapple in it, and when I looked, I went, beans and pineapple, and ooh, this is going to be. But you smile, you know, you're going to, your young man's trying his best, you're going to do. And I was actually, it was not bad at all. You know, it's decidedly different, but it is not bad at all. It's just a way to spice up a pan of beans, you know, give it some more flavor. Now at this point, I would hit it with some spice. I would hit it with some pepper, a little bit of salt, maybe even a little bit of other things. Now the beans already got brown sugar, so I don't need to add that in. But just heat it thoroughly now, and that's it. A simple pan of beans. So it's not beanie weenies. The onions in it and the peaches change that. So when you first think of it, you think, oh, it's just beanie weenies. That was a Boy Scout staple for God knows how many years. But it's not. The flavor is much more than that. And this is something that once you try it and you learn how to spice it the way you want it, you'll cook it at home. You know, I have done this once. We were having some guests over, and he was going to be going to working with the Boy Scouts, so I cooked this for the meal that night. And I said, time to get used to eating Boy Scout food. So let that thoroughly heat up, and we're good to go. So, Maynard's Goulash. Wouldn't be something that you'd have thought of off the top of your head, but it's actually a nice change from plain baked beans. It really is. I would not have thought of adding fruit to it, but it works pretty well. It gives it a little bit of a sweetness in there, and it also gives you a little more meat. So it's a standalone meal that you can cook in camp in just a few minutes, and something you can get the kids to help you with. Let them cut up, give them a plastic knife and let them cut up the Vienna sausage for you. Let them drink the juice off of the peaches and then spoon the peaches in. Things like that. You can get the little ones to help out. The more confidence you give them at a young age, the greater the advantage they'll have when they're older. Hope you enjoyed this, guys. Please leave any questions or comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button before you go. Okay. Till next time, guys, I'm Blackie wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.